Is my screen visible, everyone? Yeah.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay, thank you, sir. First of all, today's topic is based on the revised forms, and the forms have been brought via way of the MahaRERA General Amendment Regulations 2021. With this amendment, there were continuously amendments right from the day the act came, especially in the regulations, because certain clarifications were not there, certain issues were there in the forms, so people were facing difficulty for issuing this forms. Hence, there are a lot of regulations right from the beginning, and I have listed the regulations, different amendments here. The first regulation, the principal regulation, was called as MahaRERA General Regulations 2017. And thereafter, we got an General Amendment Regulations 2017. Then we had Second Amendment Regulations in 2019. And then the latest amendment regulations came in December 2021. That is called as General Amendment Regulations 2021. So this regulation was the base for various changes in the forms. In the mid regulations, second amendment, there was only revision in form 3. Till now, only form 3 was amended. But now all the forms are changed, and it has a wide impact in the real estate sector because it is specifically targeting the utilization, the deposit, and the withdrawal. And most important thing is on the part of architect and engineer is everything should be as per agreement for sale. So someone is not on mute. Hold on. Yeah, thank you.
आदित्य जी, आपका वॉइस थोड़ा रेज कीजिए क्योंकि कुछ मेंबर्स की रिक्वेस्ट है कि वॉइस उनको नहीं ऑडिबल है।
अभी आ रहा है और वॉइस?
हाँ, थोड़ा वॉइस बढ़ा दीजिए बस।
ओके। Yeah. So these are the amendments till date. We have got all the amendments right from the beginning, 2017 till date, that is 2021. First, we will see regulation 3, 3A and 4. In this, what are the amendments? Out of that, the first amendment was in regulation number 3. What was the earlier position? Let us see that. Certificate issued by project architect in form 4. Form 4 is to be issued when the project is completed in all respect. That is, it is fit for occupancy and we have a proper OC. Each of the building, this certificate was earlier required when each of the building or wing, whatever is registered of the real estate project. समझो पूरा project register है, लेकिन उसमें मैंने 3-4 buildings या wing wise मैंने registration उसमें avail किया है. तो उस particular building का completion होने के बाद, then we had to take this form 4. But with the latest amendment, what is the position is, or the position has changed. And now this certificate is to be issued for the entire registered real estate project. So no need to issue this certificate for building wise or wing wise. The certificate can be issued for the entire project which is registered. तो जो भी नाम है हमारा पूरा प्रोजेक्ट रजिस्टर है, उसमें कितने भी बिल्डिंग हो, तो आर्किटेक्ट अभी बिल्डिंग वाइज इशू ना करके वो पूरा रजिस्टर्ड प्रोजेक्ट का एक सर्टिफिकेट इशू कर सकता है. Next amendment is in regulation 3. Now earlier the position in regulation 3 was form 2A. What does form 2A talks about? It talks about the quality assurance कि क्या सीमेंट का ग्रेड है, क्या ब्रिक्स है, कैसे यूज किया है, मटेरियल टेस्टिंग हुआ है या नहीं. तो ये जो फॉर्म था वो बिल्डर को क्वार्टरली कंप्लायंस करना था. He has to submit it every quarter, and as per the latest order and circular, we had the QPR system. In this, every month, every quarter के 7th, after that 7th के पहले हम लोगों को ये सर्टिफिकेट सबमिट करना था. But now this position is being changed, and instead of every quarter, it is to be submitted at the end of every financial year. So here we have to submit this certificate before 31st March of the financial year, and no need to submit it quarter wise. That was earlier 4 forms were required. Now only 1 form is required for the entire financial year, and entire format of form 2A is being changed. That we will take in further slides. Regulation 4, earlier the annual report, this is the most important report, that is called as Form 5. इससे हम लोग को समझता है कि कितना पैसा बिल्डर ने कलेक्ट किया और कितना प्रोजेक्ट के लिए यूज किया. That is to be issued by a chartered accountant, and इसका जो चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट है उसको एक टर्म था जो रेगुलेशन में इंट्रोड्यूस किया था, बिकॉज इन एक्ट इट इज ओनली चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट, देयर इज नो डिस्टिंग्विशन, बट हियर नाउ इट इज टू बी इशूड बाय स्टैट्यूटरी ऑडिटर. अर्लियर पोजीशन था, उसको एक टर्म था. अभी द अमेंडेड पोजीशन इज इट इज only the term is changed to annual auditor. So earlier also statutory auditor was not defined, because in case of company we know that जो भी Companies Act 2013 उसमें जो report दे रहा है he can issue, but it was not necessary that a statutory auditor should be same as of the Rera auditor. But now it was creating much of the confusion. To avoid this, they have completely changed the name, and it is now annual auditor. So instead of statutory auditor, annual auditor, it is nowhere defined. So other than statutory auditor, or any chartered accountant can issue Form 5, but he should not issue Form 3 for the lifetime of the project. Let's talk about the new forms. I've covered all the forms because to understand what's new in other forms, especially 2, 3, and 5, we need to understand 1, 2, 2A, and 4 also. So I've covered only the highlights, what are the changes in these forms. First, we will deal with Form 1, Architect Certificate. This is required at the time of registration and at the time of withdrawal. So in this case, the Architect Certificate, the major change was जो सब्जेक्ट क्लॉज था उसके सर्टिफिकेट में, वेयर ही इज टू सर्टिफाई कि प्लॉट डिटेल्स क्या है, उसका लॉन्जिट्यूड लैटिट्यूड क्या है, उसका एरिया क्या है, व्हाट इज न्यूज, दैट इज नॉर्थ ईस्ट वेस्ट साउथ बाउंड्रीज क्या है, ये पूरा सब्जेक्ट क्लॉज डिलीट करें. बट स्टिल इट इज अवेलेबल ऑन द प्रोजेक्ट रजिस्ट्रेशन वेबसाइट, वहां पे ये मेंशन करना ही है. सो व्हाट विल बी द बेसिस फॉर जीपीएस कोऑर्डिनेट्स, हाउ MahaRERA will know this GPS coordinates. So again, we have to take this GPS coordinates from the architect, but this stands deleted in his certificate. He is not required, and the subject clause has been amended. There, he just have to mention that this is the completion, this is the certificate of percentage completion for the project number. If it is registered, then he has to mention the number. If it is not registered, then registration under process, he can mention that. But this subject clause is completely modified. Next change is certificate can be issued for the entire. If you have observed that the architect 4 Form 4 वो भी पूरा प्रोजेक्ट के लिए अभी अलाउ किया उसको इश्यू करने के लिए. So here also he can issue this certificate for the entire layout, not building wise or wing wise. Earlier he has to compulsory issue this for building wise and the wing wise, but now it is layout word has been added in his certificate. So your issue will be for Form 3 or Form 5 chartered accountant, because here he has to take precaution that building का भी status क्या है, because he need the cost wise bifurcation for rehab building. That we will talk later also. तो rehab building अगर मुझे करना है तो यहाँ पे अगर उसने layout का दे दिया status, तो building wise status कहाँ से मिलेगा? So then we have to take precautions, and we have to take representations from the developer as well as from the architect also. List of technical professionals. पहले architect certify करता था कि कौन-कौन इस professionals यहाँ पे है, कि MEP consultant कौन है मेरा, engineer कौन है, structural engineer. Now this has been deleted, and whatever is been mentioned on the website, it will be taken as yes, these are the professionals. Even though it is changed, it will be depend on the developer what he disclosed, but now architect is no longer required to certify. Next is number of basement. Now this is an important change, because earlier we had to mention कि कितना podium है, कितना plinth है, कितना slabs of superstructure, वो सारा चीज delete कर दिया. Now only thing he has to mention is the percentage, कितना काम हुआ है, what is the status as on the date of certificate. Next is counter signature. This has been introduced in all the certificates. यहाँ पे क्या है कि जो भी हम लोग सर्टिफिकेट इशू करेंगे, हर एक सर्टिफिकेट में अपने को बिल्डर का, all the professionals have to take sign and he has to agree to this particular certificate and he has to counter sign that particular certificate. So it is bit difficult for both of them, because if any qualifications are there or any issues are there in that particular project, there might be certain differentiation between builders and the chartered accountant or the other professionals. But what they could have done is, यहाँ से हम लोग एक सर्टिफिकेट अपलोड करें, यहाँ से बिल्डर एक्सेप्ट करे, और if he is rejecting, then also he had to give the reason. If that would have been a proper approach, then it would be an ease of convenience for everyone. But now all the professionals have to take the certification of the builder also, that this is agreed by him. Next is form 2. So that was the what changes were there in form 1. Now we are going to see what are the changes in form 2. Again, plot wise details are deleted from here. Next is, you can also issue the certificate for the entire layout. List of professionals is also deleted here. Yes, this is an important change. Now the estimated, see, engineer used to certify estimated cost to be incurred and actual incurred. So what is the change is, estimated cost of civil, MEP and allied work, internal, external works as per specification. अब ये जो word है ना, this is very important. As per specification mentioned in agreement of sale. All those specifications, उसका जो estimated cost है, उस हिसाब से उसने ये certificate दे रहा है. So if any changes are there in future in the specification, एक particular अगर जैगवार का टाइल्स दे रहा है या फिर प्लम्बिंग मटेरियल या जो भी कुछ है, चेंजेस है, अगर उसका कॉस्ट अलग है, उस हिसाब से उसको ये सर्टिफिकेट भी चेंज करना पड़ेगा, बिकॉज देन ही कैन लेटर से दैट दिस cost is not been included in this particular certificate. This is very important. अगर specifications mention के agreement, तो उस हिसाब से उसको ये certificate issue करना है. Next important change in the form 2 is actual cost incurred. पहले तो हमारा estimated हो गया. Next is actual cost incurred to be on the basis of input material or services used and unit cost of this item. Earlier it was only on the basis of estimated. That's it. But यहाँ पे अभी बोला है कि जो भी मटेरियल या सर्विसेज एक्चुअली में यूज होंगे और यूनिट कॉस्ट उसका जो है पर्टिकुलर आइटम्स का, उस हिसाब से ही आपको एक्चुअल कॉस्ट इंक्लूड करना है. सो द वर्किंग ऑन द पार्ट ऑफ इंजीनियर इज इंक्रीज्ड, दैट ही हैज टू एक्चुअली मेंशन दीज डिटेल्स, दैट कि कौन सा इनपुट मटेरियल और सर्विसेज यूज किया. Then complete project as per drawings and specifications mentioned in agreement of sale. If you have observed, agreement of sale बार बार आ रहा है. So अभी agreements of sale और ये certificate issue कर दिया है, because chartered accountant has to verify books of account, but who does the physical verification is engineer and architect. So जो अभी डेवलपर को भी प्रिकॉशन लेना पड़ेगा कि मैं एग्रीमेंट फॉर सेल में जो इंक्लूड कर रहा हूँ उसकी कॉस्ट आने वाला है मेरे एस्टिमेटेड और एक्चुअल में. सो ही हैज टू टेक प्रिकॉशन कि उसका एस्टिमेटेड कॉस्ट में कुछ भी नहीं लिख सकता, या फिर एक्चुअल कॉस्ट इंजीनियर जो भी आप चेंजेस कर रहे हो उस हिसाब से यहाँ पे आना चाहिए. सो दिस हैज टू बी टेकन केयर व्हेरेवर देयर इज स्पेसिफिकेशन और अप्रूव्ड ड्राइंग्स. ये एडिशनल चीज डाल दिया है. पहले था कि बेस्ड ऑन द वेरिफिकेशन हम लोग ने यहाँ पे इशू कर रहे हैं, बट नाउ इट शुड बी एज पर एक्चुअल ड्राइंग्स and specifications. So all the drawings which are latest, any amendments, there should be backing of the approval of the customers, and also it has to be uploaded on the website. That needs to be taken care of. Amendment in cost incurred or to be incurred due to deviation in quantity required or escalation of cost. So any amendment, it is not that once you फिल द एस्टिमेटेड कॉस्ट एक बार स्टार्ट में डाल दिया तो हो गया, नहीं, यू नीड टू अमेंड whenever there is any change in the specification, any change in the estimated cost and any deviation in quantity. So this is very important. अगर quantity में deviation है, अगर developer ने purchase किया 100 का quantity but he has actually used 80, then you have to amend your quantity, you have to amend your actual calculation on that basis. Further changes, it is again come. Yeah, deviation in material used. Deviation in material use is to be reported by the engineer. Whatever material the developer has promised that this much material he has bought, but any kind of changes or any kind of deviation is there, he has to report in his certificate. Local authority license number, he has to mention. If any local authority license number is there, then he has to mention in his certificate. Yes. Now deleted items to be mentioned in table C. अब ये क्या है? पहले जो table C क्या होता था कि list of extra or additional items considered in cost. मतलब जब engineer at the time of registration कुछ estimate कर रहा है, पर later on कुछ additional cost items आ गए, तो उसको वो include करना था, and then chartered accountant has to include that cost in his certificate so that he can withdraw that cost. But अब उसमें एक additional word डाल दिया, deleted items. So if any cost, any item is deleted subsequently by the developer, ये नहीं देना है मुझे customer, तो उसका cost भी delete होना चाहिए. So that needs to be included in his certificate. So ये एक additional word है, and accordingly that has to be incorporated in the Form 3 withdrawal, because ultimately this is required to regulate the bank account operations. That is the reason. Deleted items पहले क्या होता था कि deleted भी उसका भी cost वैसे ही होता था, लेकिन मैं material तो देना है, मैं उसको facilities दे नहीं रहा, तो वो भी engineer को include करना है. Counter signature of promoter required on this certificate also. If the signature is not there on that particular certificate, it will be considered as invalid certificate. Form 2A, we have completed with Form 2. Now,
Aditya,
yes sir.
Can we have some question here or at the end, whatever you feel, for Form 1 and 2?
Yes sir, we can.
So now, as you said, Form 1 is for entire layout.
Yes.
But whereas MahaRERA website still has the building wise percentage.
Correct.
So how that will get correlated?
Yes, that is the reason they have not yet correlated that website with the certificates, because GPS coordinates can accurately be given by the certain professional only. तो ये भी उसकी certificate से delete कर दिया, and it is to be mentioned there. वहाँ पे पूरा अभी तक वो modify नहीं. So we hope that आगे अगर अभी जो website आने वाला है, still it is under process, उसमें ये सारे changes incorporate हो जाएंगे. Because now they have allowed it layout wise, even they have altered these certificates but not yet amended the rules.
And as regards engineer certificate, now more responsibility is on engineer head.
Correct.
Because now he has to maintain all the stock register.
Yes.
Because quantity measurement has to be done. Previously it was estimated.
Estimated.
Now it is on quantity measurement.
Quantity measurement.
Okay, you can proceed.
But how can he control with the agreement?
Sorry?
How can site engineer control with the developer's agreement?
No, he don't have to control the agreement. Sir, the developer, whatever the draft is been uploaded, because we have to upload agreement for sale draft on the website. So it becomes a public document, it cannot be deleted. So whatever specifications, we have an annexure F. If I am not wrong, we have annexure F. In that case, the specifications need to be taken by the engineer. He has to predict, he has to estimate the cost. And that only his lookout is whatever the items are included.
He can, but yes, he can, but stage of percentage of progress with regarding with the agreement amount. Means, अगर एक स्टेज पे प्रोजेक्ट पहुंच जाता है तो उसका डिसबर्समेंट निकालने का रिस्पांसिबिलिटी इंजीनियर का नहीं रहेगा.
नहीं. He is not responsible for that.
Okay, thank you.
Form 2A, we are moving on to Form 2A, quality assurance. इस क्वालिटी assurance के सर्टिफिकेट को अगर पहले आप देखते तो इसमें रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, वी हैव अ रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी स्टेटमेंट फॉर द इंजीनियर, वी हैव इनपुट मटेरियल्स एंड पिक्चर, वहां पे सीमेंट, ब्रिक, हर एक का ग्रेडिंग, क्वालिटी, मटेरियल टेस्टिंग, हर एक का बाइफिकेशन था. But now what they have done is they have clubbed this. You don't have to comment on individual components of materials used in the construction, but he has to overall complain that I hereby certify all the construction material, fixtures and fittings are in respect to the specification as per annexure F. But if suppose many developers are having the habit that they don't mention specifications, so in that case he has to again certify this. First three, this point is common, plot details सब जगह से निकाल दिया. To this certificate is to be issued yearly as per the amendment, and material wise details are deleted. Next is if there are specifications, then he has to comment as per the specification, मेरा ये इतना quality है. But अगर specifications नहीं रहेगा, then he has to certify it as per industry standards क्या है, that needs to be, I assure the quality based on the industry standards. So this is the important thing कि जहाँ पे specification है, तो agreement for sale में जो quality या जो चीज mention किया है, vitrified tiles, whatever it is mentioned, he has to certify on that basis. अगर नहीं है तो as per industry standards. Counter signature of promoter again on this certificate. Form 2A, these are the only important things mentioned in Form 2A. Next is the important certificate on which developers bank account regulation is depend. So your Form 3 CA certificate registration and withdrawal के टाइम पे ये लगता है. इसमें हम लोग एक लिमिट देते हैं डेवलपर को, और अगर वो लिमिट क्रॉस हो गया, then he has to obtain a different certificate. So that is the major role. But अभी यहाँ पे एक role shift हो गया. So now additional responsibility is been given to chartered accountant, that apart from certifying the cost, he has to certify few other things that we will see in this slide. So subject clause, ये तो clause था ही नहीं. Form 3 में कुछ ऐसे subject clause या फिर कुछ भी नहीं था, but अब subject clause हम लोग के certificate में insert किया है. And what we are certifying is financial progress of the work. What is this financial progress? That is how he is following this regulation of depositing 70%, withdrawing it from the bank. That is called as financial progress of this project. Next, these are certifying. There is a line at the beginning that we are issuing this certificate for Rera compliance. Ab Rera compliance matlab bank account operations. So for this we are complying QPR operations, QPR quarterly progress reporting के लिए हम लोग ये certificate दे रहे. Hence they have inserted this word Rera compliance. In the certificate 7 tables are introduced. Earlier only estimated actual हमारा side by side comparison था, or directly certification management responsibility line, and we used to sign it, और उसमें annexure थे. But अब totally they have classified right from the table A, and we have 7 tables in this particular certificate. So what we are certifying the deposit and utilization also. So पहले हम लोग सिर्फ estimated cost and land cost certify करते थे, अब हम लोग को deposit और उसका utilization ये भी हम लोग को certify करना है. So this is an additional liability insert. Liability, I would say additional responsibility on the chartered accountant issuing Form 3. If you all remember, a clarification was issued in 2017 where Form 3 chartered accountant was never used to certify end use utilization, end use of the funds. It was the responsibility of Form 5. But here अब Form 3 पे भी वही responsibility डाल दिया of Form 5. So there is somewhere double check, and this will have a huge impact, because whatever you will certify, Form 5 will have to verify, and he has the authority to comment upon your certificate in case of any discrepancy. So please, while issuing this certificate, we have to take a lot of precautions. Counter signature. Now, counter signature again has been introduced in Chartered Accountant issuing Form 3 certificate. Moving further with the first table, estimated cost of the project. अब पहले estimated cost and actual cost करके कोई separate tables नहीं थे, but अब table A deals with estimated cost, table B deals with actual cost. So they have made this huge change where estimate cost remains fixed unless developer is applying for correction on the website by paying 5,000 rupees, and actual cost will be on the basis of verification. So separate table has been introduced for estimated cost at the time of registration of the project, subject to change. Whatever the cost will be mentioned, it will be at the time of registration of the project. Only estimated cost of construction by engineer. अगर सबको मालूम है किसी ने इशू किया है, तो फॉर्म 3 में पहले क्या होता था, estimated cost of engineer और actual cost of chartered certified by chartered accountant, ये दोनों के बीच में कंपैरिजन, which somewhere gave a wrong picture, क्योंकि estimated cost ज्यादा ही होगा ना, और actual cost is till the date of that particular certificate. तो हमेशा इंजीनियर ज्यादा और एक्चुअल में कम, तो कंपैरिजन में एक्चुअल कम ही आएगा. बट अब उन्होंने एस्टिमेटेड कॉस्ट अलग कर दिया, तो इस फील्ड में सिर्फ एस्टिमेटेड कॉस्ट ऑफ कंस्ट्रक्शन बाय इंजीनियर वही आएगा, सीए का कोई रिलेशन ही नहीं. सो दे हैव एनीहाउ वी आर नॉट अलाउड टू इश्यू estimated cost. We can issue, but if there is certain reasonable assurance and we don't vouch for actual figures of that particular estimation, then we can issue. But now they've completely removed it. But यहाँ पे क्या होता है, जब हम अपने सर्टिफिकेट में इशू करेंगे और सपोज इंजीनियर ने लेआउट का सर्टिफिकेट दे दिया और हम लोग एस्टिमेटेड कॉस्ट ऑफ कंस्ट्रक्शन में रीहैब कंपोनेंट का अलग से लिखते हैं, तो रीहैब कंपोनेंट का अगर हम लोग ने सेपरेटली मेंशन करना है, then we need this bifurcation from engineer and we have to obtain from developer कि ये form to be ऐसे building wise, at least rehab component and the sale component should be different. So we can very well include this in our certificate. Provision for cost incurred, जैसे ही additional items वहाँ पे है, additional या deletion जो भी है, वो changes अभी estimated cost में भी आएंगे on actual basis, जैसे उसने incorporate किया, तो यहाँ पे हम लोग अपने सर्टिफिकेट में भी इशू करें. They had clarified it in 2017 circular also कि pass through charges or indirect taxes you don't have to include that in your certificate because that can be obtained in other bank account. No need to collect it in Rera bank account. You can collect it separately and you can deposit in whatever charges are there, electricity, वो सारा चीज you can maintain a separate record. But if you observe the rules, you have to give the proper record to the association of the allottees. You need to give the bifurcation. So that responsibility is there, but no need to include that cost in this. Now you will ask that what will happen that ITC is disallowed because many developers, they have not availed the old scheme, they have availed the new scheme. So ultimately it is debited to P&L account. It becomes the cost of the developer. It won't be set off against the 5% liability or 1% liability. So that if that is becoming your cost, it will be included in construction cost. That is not called as the pass-through, or it is not, you're not availing it as a input tax credit against your liability. Can be revised through the correction application. Yes, estimated cost needs to be obtained from the developer only and engineer, and you can revise it, but the developer has to pay 5,000 rupees. We are moving on to next. Sorry, before that, absorb cost of machinery. Yes, earlier, whatever cost of machinery and equipment or higher charges, जो भी अगर मैंने पूरा मशीन परचेस किया है, पूरा इक्विपमेंट क्रेन परचेस किया है और मैं मल्टीपल प्रोजेक्ट्स में यूज कर रहा हूँ, तो I need to only now include the absorbed cost in this particular project. Earlier, it was entire cost you can include, but somewhere it would have given a wrong picture. So we had represented, Ashwin sir had specially brought this point to the Rera authority, and now they have included this absorbed cost in the certificate. So हम लोग को ये proper calculate करके कि ये machine इस project के लिए कितने time तक use किया है, based on that we need to include the estimated cost of that particular machine. Will be actual cost of the project. Separate table has been introduced. Now here, now in case of actual, they have properly aligned. Now here, while mentioning the actual cost of construction, you have to take minimum of actual cost certified by engineer in form 2 and actual cost certified by chartered account. Now this will give a correct picture, because अगर मैंने 100 का material ले लिया तो मेरे book में accounting हो गई. So my actual cost certified by chartered accountant is 100, but अगर उसमें से सिर्फ 80 का utilization अपने project पे हुआ है, then engineer will certify only 80. So whichever is less needs to be included in your certificate, whatever is actual quantity used. Now it is properly aligned. Whatever entire cost is not incorporated here. Provision for cost incurred, additional items estimated में भी include किया और यहाँ पे भी include किया. Pass-through charges or indirect taxes are excluded from actual cost. Obviously, in estimated also you don't have to take it, and in actual cost also no required to take it. Absorbed cost of machinery on the basis of actual cost जो absorb हुआ है, that needs to be incorporated. Next is table C, statement for calculation of receivables. This statement used to give picture of what amount is receivable and what is the balance amount receivable. This statement was especially for ongoing projects. This was only for ongoing projects. Still in rules, it is only for ongoing project. Rules are not yet been amended, but by set business practice by Rera, it was automatically made applicable to new projects, because Rera has recently introduced a circular where we have to give statement of sold and unsold inventory, and it was applicable for all projects. So form 3 को हम लोग को यहाँ पे ये सारा चीज देना ही पड़ता था. Now it has new project, वो ongoing word निकाल के, now this is applicable to all projects. So what are the changes? Statement for calculation of receivables. Here you have mentioned sold inventory and unsold inventory. There is no change in this. It is exactly same as it was previously. We have to mention, but now this has been properly mentioned in a table C, and ongoing word has been deleted. Pass-through charges, yes. The change is while considering the received amount, जो हम लोग unit consideration ले रहे agreement का, उसमें हम लोग pass-through charges और indirect taxes exclude करेंगे. Next is
Aditya.
Yes, sir.
At present, now there is a trend that there is only one basket price. I am generally builders say I am selling a flat for 1 crore rupees. It includes parking, stamp duty, GST, all other charges. So there is no clarification on that.
No, there is no clarification on that. But anyhow, when developer will include that amount in GST, so he has to reverse calculate what is the GST amount and what is how much is he is going to pay. So automatically that box price is reduced because he pays the stamp duty, he pays the GST amount. So automatically we can get the amount finally we can include as agreement value, and we can include that in our statement.
And secondly, in the absence of amendment in rule, all this exercise would be meaningless.
Correct. But ultimately, what was the view of Rera that regulations, earlier also we had a contradiction between the earlier form 3 and rules, but we have to follow this regulation only until the time rules are amended. So they have only ongoing projects applicability for these tables, but with the regulations they have made it applicable to new project also. So unless it is challenged, we have to follow this regulation and we have to follow this certificate form.
Okay.
आदित्य जी टेबल सी से स्टार्ट करिए, एक पॉइंट छूट गया।
एक मिनट। हाँ बोलिए ना। यहाँ से स्टार्ट करो। Yeah, Anjali Gadkar, you have any issue with this? Okay. Can I move on to next slide?
Sir,
Yes, sir.
as raised a query by earlier person that the consideration amount of agreement includes today GST and stamp duty, everything. So can I take all those expenses under the pass-through charges parallelly to compensate this? Why need to go reverse calculate and show like that?
If you have a box price, you will automatically divide it, right? What
Right.
will be your basic price and what will be your agreement value for the purpose of stamp duty?
Right.
So automatically you have the bifurcation and that only needs to be included in your statement.
No, I'll be representing in the statement the actual agreement value which is entered between the customer, right? As a
Correct.
developer, because that is a base document to refer.
Yes.
The corresponding stamp duty charges or GST charges that I am bearing to sell that product, I'll include in that pass-through charges. This is what my understanding is. Is it correct?
Yes, correct. You have to include that in pass-through charges.
No, but on debit side, if you are trying to take, then it amounts to marketing expenses, because this all thing you are doing for marketing your product.
Yes.
So then again there is a issue, because now rules are amended, marketing cost is disallowed.
Disallowed.
So it is always better to get it netted out.
So, but how any base, the CA will consider the base document.
Yeah, so the difficulty will come, Aditya, here. Say, for example, I am not a GST consultant for that enterprise. So I am not aware of what is going on in GST calculation and whatever may be. So that difficulty will certainly come.
Yes. So we have to obtain that how much flats or units are sold on box price basis. And we have to obtain this bifurcation from the developer ki what amount you have to include it in the unit consideration as per agreement or letter of allotment.
हम तो ऐसे चेक करते थे सर जी.
Yes, Minal.
So the takeaway is we should net off and represent under this statement. This is what the takeaway is.
So Aditya, what I feel is now we'll have to have many notes in our form 3 and form 5 to explain to the authority, because now it's a public document.
Yes.
So we should be careful. We should have many notes. Okay, this is how we have calculated this.
Correct. Because
Otherwise,
many now people have started including this in the cases also, where I have observed that in one note someone had written that the bifurcation of the project expenses is not available. There are 7 projects under this and bifurcation of expenses is not available. So we are relying on the management that how much is expenses included for this purpose, incurred for this purpose, particular project. So that has been taken as a record and that has been taken as a document in the hearing also. So we have to mention on what basis we have issued this certificate. So inference is very important. So what is the conclusion and how we have decided the certificate कि क्या क्या मैंने इसमें include किया.
So सतीश भाई, सीए लोग का काम बढ़ गया है. आपको लगता है सीए को मजा है? Yeah, you can.
She is having some issue. Anjali Gadkar, you are not audible. You have any query?
Okay, you can continue, Aditya.
Okay, fine. Now, next we come on to table D. So in case of table D, there is comparison between balance cost and receivables. Again, this statement was applicable to ongoing projects only. We have a reference in the rules that it is applicable for ongoing projects only. But as per regulation, ongoing word is deleted, and this is applicable for all the projects. So here, only thing is what they have done is we have to mention the table is exactly same. Only it mentions that the 100%, because the developer had to decide for ongoing projects that whether you have to deposit 70% or 100% based on this criteria. If your balance receivable amount as on the commencement of the act is less than the balance cost of completion, then you have to deposit 100% in separate designated Rera bank. So here only they have mentioned that 70 and 100% criteria needs to be checked only for ongoing projects, and new projects has to include balance things. So estimated balance cost to complete, yes, applicable to new project once sales resume. Balance amount of receivables sold apartments, that is for sold apartments. Estimated unsold sales, तो ये दोनों का total होगा total estimated receivables. Then you have to compare estimated and cost and estimated receivables. That's it. But you don't have calculate 70 and 100% for ongoing new projects. Only if it is applicable for ongoing projects. So that needs to be clearly bifurcation is there, and they have written in 0.5 to be filled for ongoing projects only.
For ongoing project, Aditya, you mean to say those ongoing project only which were to be registered in July 2017?
Yes.
So do we need to reshuffle every time 70, 100, 170?
According to me, not.
Then what would be the meaning of this exercise?
Yeah,
See,
it would be.
if the first certificate says 70%, but now it says 100%. Again, tomorrow it will say 70%.
Correct. But it is only at the time of the registration which were ongoing, because ongoing definition is only in section 3. So those
Rule
projects,
3. Yeah. Rule 3.
Rule 3, sorry. So on that cases, only those projects will be called as ongoing projects. So for that, every time we cannot check that 70, because ultimately unsold का हम लोग actual उसका open market value नहीं ले रहे. We are looking forward to the ASR value. So ASR value can remain constant for 3 years period time. So it might reduce also, it might increase also. So at the time of registration जिनको ये था कि ongoing, उसको सिर्फ check करना था कि project हो पाएगा कि नहीं. That is the reason they have mentioned it that you have to fill it only at the time of ongoing.
So even if the bad project can be taken with 70% operation and 30% can be siphoned by the developer. He knows that project is not viable.
Correct.
But still he take the registration number, he get the marketing license.
Yes.
And he mobilize the money, and then project remains uncompleted. So again, this is a big flow.
Correct. Because earlier it was even at the time of ongoing check, this check, agar negative figure aata, then there was no provision here that he has to bring that money and deposit in Rera bank. So even there is a contradiction and there is an issue. Hence, we need to check this only once. And if 70% is there, then he has to deposit only 70. And if there it is 100%, then entire 100% he has to deposit in separate bank. Applicable to all projects. This statement is applicable to all projects. Now, this is an important table and new table. It was not there. Earlier certificate doesn't have Rera bank account details at all. Here also, they have not mentioned that name of the bank, Rera bank account designation number, nothing has been mentioned. But please make sure whatever bank details you will mention, you have to mention that मैं इस bank का कर रहा हूँ. Because in all other states, mostly Gujarat, they have separate designated bank account rules, and we don't have here. They have a proper procedure that he cannot change the bank account unless he has made an application to Rera authority. But here he can change the bank account with a normal project update. So if he's registering at the time of project with a different bank account, later on he's changing. So make sure that you mention the bank details in your certificate. Now, what additional table they have given is, this is the table which they have introduced. It is nothing but you just have to mention designated bank account details, actual amount till date, from start of bank account to till date. So from abhi agar मैं form 3 दे रहा हूँ, so I need to mention from start of the bank account to till date क्या opening balance है, अभी क्या deposits हुए उस account में, overall withdrawals क्या हुए, and closing balance. See, now your only deposit word is written. So anyhow we need to match this closing balance as on date of certificate. तो क्लोजिंग बैलेंस को हम लोग टच नहीं कर सकते, लेकिन डिपॉजिट्स में ऐसे होता है, कभी कभी डेवलपर टोटल चेक ले लेता है विथ एग्रीमेंट विथ पास थ्रू, ये सारा चीज. देन वी नीड टू गिव प्रॉपर डिस्क्लोजर कि डिपॉजिट्स में कितने कस्टमर के डिपॉजिट्स है, दैट यू नीड टू मेंशन. अदरवाइज इट विल बी कंसिडर्ड एज अ डिपॉजिट ऑफ द कस्टमर्स कि इतना इसने कलेक्ट कर लिया, बट इट इज नॉट द ट्रू पिक्चर. सो यू नीड टू प्रॉपरली बाइफरगेट. उससे you need to take that कि how much is the customer receipts, how much is pass through charges, and how much समझो loan का proceeds है. Then also you need to properly bifurcate that. So your notes will increase here.
So almost 4 years exercise we'll have to do.
Yes, total 4 years. If proper form 5 is been given, then we will get how much is deposited in bank account and how much is used for this project. So that we can get the bifurcation from form 5. But if proper disclosures are made.
Sir, here a opening balance means the first time certification when it is given at the time of opening account, the opening balance will be in 0. And every quarter when this certificate is issued, so the quarterly opening balance, because it will match with the last closing balance, right? So
Yes.
last closing balance will come as opening balance for the prospective quarter.
Yes.
Am I correct?
But if you have observed, it is the opening balance of bank account and not the CA certificate. So till now, in any of the form 3, we have never mentioned this balance.
No, sir. The first time now CA will certify, and when the CA will certify again, suppose we are sitting here for quarter 3 certification now. So when quarter 4 certification CA will give in April, so at that point of time, the quarter 3 closing will come as opening of quarter 4. This is what.
But why 350? Then we would have ordered online.
Sorry, I'm not able to hear.
But you know what actually happens? But non-prime है ना, तो हम 50 रुपए तो anyway.
Anjali, can you unmute yourself? Anmol?
Can I come again, sir?
Yes, yes.
So CA will issue quarter 3 certification as of now. That is current for October, November, and December. Here, whatever will be the closing bank account balance for quarter 3 that CA will give, that will come as opening balance of quarter 4 when he certifies for quarter 4. This is what my understanding is. Am I correct?
Yes. Once, see, now for the first certification, it will be as per the right from the beginning picture you have to give.
Yes.
But once it is further certificate, then automatically
करेंगे 8 बजे हो जाएगा.
opening or yeah.
Thank you.
चलेगा.
Hi sir, just one more question. Whether as per the act we are allowed to make FDs out of the funds that are saved in the designated account. So whether that FD balance should also be a part of this, or only the designated bank account balance should be a part of it?
But if you are having excess money in bank account, then a clarification has been given. See, Act doesn't speak about any kind of FD.
Right, clarification. Right.
So in case of clarification, they have mentioned that if it is no lien FD, it should be no lien FD.
Right.
You can keep it in a separate bank. You can keep a
separate fixed deposit.
FD, yeah. But you have to mention that this much is the balance of that account. So you have to mention that here what is the closing balance, because if you will require the funds, it won't be I haven't seen many developers that they are keeping so much FD and they are not required of funds. So you will have to withdraw that FD and you will issue.
Right, but in
use
certain cases at the initial part of the project where due to certain lack of expenses as much and the EOI money that is currently obtained, there are certain times the restrictions that because of limit not available, funds are being packed in FD. So here the closing balance should include your designated bank account balance plus Rera 70 FD balance.
Yes,
With
you have
along
to
with a
mention the
note.
balance and you have to obtain the certificate from the bank.
Fully.
Yes.
Okay, okay, thank you.
No, the query of Saket was like this, whether Form 3 is a cumulative one or quarter-wise or year-wise.
No, it is based on the limit. Whatever limit
No,
is given, then
no,
you
no.
have to mention.
No. Since now you say that this bank summary should be till date. So from July 2017 to March 21, say for example, one, and then I am giving for December 21. So again, July 17 to December 21?
Yes. So we have we have to give the total picture. What is the closing balance?
So
How it is.
cumulative.
Yes, we have to give cumulative because it is actual amount till date of that particular certificate.
So then you
No,
have
sir.
to.
There is a confusion between sir and me. सर हम अभी जनवरी 22 में बैठे हैं, सीए को Q3 सर्टिफाई करना है अक्टूबर नवंबर दिसंबर के लिए. So this certificate is going for first time. So here CA will certify cumulative balance for first certification. And when he will certify for Q4 in the month of April, he will take the closing balance of Q3 as opening balance of Q4. This was my query. Is it right?
No,
that's what I am telling. This Form 3 is a cumulative certificate and not a quarter-wise or period certificate.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. So every time
Okay,
actual
so
amount.
every time we have to consider cumulative balances. Since beginning of the project,
Yeah.
since opening of the account, and every time we have to add only फिर जो deposit और withdrawal का figure है वो change होते रहेगा. Opening तो अपना जो पहले का है वही चलता रहेगा.
Exactly.
And automatically the will change. Okay, समझा. Fine, fine.
Thank you.
So only your deposit and withdrawals and closing balance will fluctuate. So if you will compare two certificates, you will get कि कितने ये period में कितना तुम्हारा
कितना कम
deposit.
ज्यादा हुआ है, कितना deposit आया, कितना withdraw हुआ है, समझे.
So here that issue will come about barter transaction. What I was mentioning. Suppose there is a contractor who has agreed to construct a building in lieu of flat allotment. So that will not get reflected in my bank account. So that would not be a correct picture which will be going.
Yes. Because
वो केस में कैसे करेंगे सर फिर?
I think we have to give by note. Okay, these are the non-cash transactions which also needs to be considered as a deposit and withdrawal. It's a common figure.
Oh.
But we can give it separately because if there is no amount involved, this closing balance if directly compared with the Rera bank account because it is designated bank account, so it won't match. So if you want to match and you can give a proper note that so much amount has been adjusted against the consideration, a non-cash transaction that can be given. So एक proper अलग से हम लोग ये table A plus table B ऐसे करके non-cash का total हम लोग दे सकते हैं. So don't incorporate here only. नहीं तो वो closing balance जो बैंक का है वो ऐसा नहीं
बनेगा. बराबर है. Non-cash अलग से देंगे तो better होगा.
Yes. You can give कि ये plus ये total customer receipts ऐसे करके तुम लोग कर सकते.
Okay, fine.
Now this is a different table again introduced. Before that, before table E and after table E and F, two lines have been introduced. What chartered accountant is certifying additionally, which was not there in earlier certificate. He is required to certify required proportion of money as specified in the act. Now here, as specified in the act means 70%. So if you are issuing 100% certificate, it is not as certified by act. Only 70% is mentioned. So I am certifying the required proportion of money as certified by act collected from the allottees of the project unit in all the certificates, they have used different terminologies. Somewhere they have used apartments, they have used project unit, they have used project. तो अलग अलग जगह पे अलग अलग terminologies use किया है. They should have used either it is project units or apartments. Apartment has been defined और apartments में सब कुछ आ जाता है. तो यहाँ पे उन्होंने सब जगह अलग अलग चीज मेंशन किया है. Collected from allottees of the project unit as indicated in table C has been deposited. So what I am certifying? I am certifying collection as well as deposition. तो मैं deposit भी certify कर रहा हूँ और collection भी certify कर रहा हूँ. I hereby certificate utilization also. तो तीनों चीज आ गया. मैंने collect किया है, deposit किया है और utilize किया है. मतलब ये रोल हो गया form 5 का. So earlier clarification on certificate of CA certificates is of no use because they have suddenly changed the role of form 3 chartered account. Only actual cost certify करना था, अब additional डाल दिया कि collection, utilization और deposit और utilization ये भी तीनों certify कर. Next is next we have to certify is table F, which is called as means of finance. How developer will arrange the funds.
But here at the time of registration, I think nobody has estimated all these things.
Correct.
So then again, we'll have to mention that these figures are not available.
Yes. So here, if they have given two different estimates. पहला है at the time जब first time मेरे पास आया वो form 3 लेने, I have to take the estimate. What is the estimated or proposed, and they have put in the bracket that indicative. मतलब ऐसे कुछ indications है कि developer funds लेगा. So I need to see कि वो कैसे arrange कर रहा है funds, because यहाँ पे अभी क्या target हो रहा है कि developer के लिए ये viable है कि नहीं project. So that they are targeting slowly कि और additional 3-4 certificates में idea आ जाएगा कि कैसे funds वो arrange कर रहा है और क्या हो रहा है. तो यहाँ पे उसके indications देखना है कि कितने own funds है. We are nowhere responsible here for certifying this. We have to take this we have to obtain this amount from the developer only. In estimated, if you observe, there is a small asterisk, no clarification in the certificate, no note is there. We can assume that ये proposed and indicative उसके लिए हो सकता है, but ऐसे कोई separate asterisk clarification नहीं है. Second is, again when he will come subsequently for the purpose of withdrawal certificate, तो हम लोग को वापस उससे estimate लेना है कि पहले क्या position था, अब क्या position estimate का है, कैसे arrange करने वाला है, and we have to mention the actual. See, we can definitely verify the actual, but proposed and estimated it out of our scope, and we have to depend on the representation from the developer. So here we have to mention own funds, borrowed funds, not on which is actually utilized. That needs to be mentioned. Even in case of unsecured में money borrowed for construction and money borrowed from the registered money lender, NBFC, ये सारा जो unsecured है, वहाँ पे हम लोग include कर सकते हैं. Fourth is an interesting term. Customer receipts used for the project. अब पहले जो tables थे, उसमें हम लोग ने include किया amount received from the customers. But ये हम लोग को certify, ये यहाँ पे amount लिखना कि used for the project. मतलब एक additional utilization का जो table इसमें है ही नहीं. That needs to be included amount here, which used to be certified by the form 5. उसमें था कि इतना use किया है for this project. But now we have to also mention. तो मतलब अपना form 3 का जो role और काम बढ़ गया है, उसको form 3 में customer receipts कितने use किए वो भी include, not collected.
But Aditya, in last this thing actual as on the date of certificate, the para number 6, that is total estimated cost. Here it should be total cost incurred as of date. For this actual, it cannot be estimated cost. Otherwise, it is meaningless. See, I have to compare actual with actual.
Yes, where, sir? Exactly.
See, actual last column is there, actual as on date of certificate.
Yeah.
In that, point number 6,
correct.
275. 275 cannot be estimated. It has to be actual because I have to compare actual with actual.
Correct. So that needs to be only amount they have, what they have done. Total cost के जगह पे उन्होंने estimated word ही डाला. So each में total अगर होता.
So again, there is a confusion here.
Yes. So again, this will be this entire table is very much vague, and we have to depend mostly on this
So
only,
here-
except for the actual.
Here the point which I wanted to make is that project finance, which is
Correct.
used for the project. So suppose here the project cost incurred is 80 as of date. Then you have collected 105. So out of that, equity can be reduced. But project finance, what point I was telling, that should also get matched with the cost incurred.
Cost incurred.
So this
So-
last line should be actual, not the estimated.
Actual.
We'll have to represent this.
Yes, we have to represent about this entire
Yes, yes.
table itself.
Okay.
सर ये टेबल एफ पब्लिक में जा रहा है.
No, Form 3 is not in public. They have not. It is not yet disclosed to public.
But you have to agree. आप एग्री कर रहे हैं क्या? जब भी कोई बाहर से पैसा लाके अंदर इसमें डाल देते तो
नहीं क्या समझ में नहीं आया.
जो भी कैपिटल इंट्रोड्यूस कर रहे हैं ना कस्टमर्स यूज तो ठीक है, लेकिन सेकंड नंबर और टोटल बोरोड फंड्स कैसे सर्टिफाइड करेंगे?
हाँ, वो एक पॉइंट है. अगर प्रॉपर वही से है तो चैनल से है, देन यू कैन सर्टिफाई बेस्ड ऑन द डॉक्यूमेंटेशन.
रणदीप सर, अभी आपको प्रोजेक्ट शुरू करने से पहले ही प्रोजेक्ट टेबल पे बनाना पड़ेगा.
बट अनसिक्योर्ड भी तो डिटेल्स वो पूछ ही रहे ना, तो अनसिक्योर्ड का भी तो पूछ ही रहे डिटेल्स वो सर.
तो आपको पहले प्रोजेक्ट टेबल पे बनाना पड़ेगा, फिर ग्राउंड पे बनाना पड़ेगा. तो आपको कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट वो सब बनाने पड़ेंगे.
ठीक.
So here we are certifying only funds for the project, and they want to compare it with the estimated cost, but they should compare with actual cost, as Ashwin sir said. Yes, it is correct. So here there is some confusion, and till now I hope that estimated or वो सारा चीज clarification or we can represent also for this particular changes.
सर ये फॉर्म एप्लीकेबल कब से है? मतलब कौन सा क्वार्टर का भी इशू करेंगे तभी यूज करना ये फॉर्म्स?
Actually, Form 3 is not quarter wise. It is on the basis of the limit. अगर लिमिट एक्सपायर हुआ तो फॉर्म आएगा. तो अभी जो भी आपका
अभी वो
लिमिट
कब से यूज, मतलब ये नया फॉर्म कब से एप्लीकेबल होगा फिर?
इमीडिएटली ऑन द 22 दिसंबर, उसके बाद ही इमीडिएटली एप्लीकेबल. तो अगर पिछले का कंप्लायंस भी नहीं किया, देन आल्सो दिस फॉर्म्स आर एप्लीकेबल.
Even if you are issuing for March 18, फिर भी ये नया फॉर्म ही यूज करना है.
Oh my God, दिक्कत ही है ये तो.
So we have made representation for extension of audit timeline.
Actually,
let us see now.
Sir, also there is another circular that says that the form should be obtained and uploaded on the Rera website by 7th of the end of the quarter. So again, I think January ka to already due date is gone. So any representation is being made on that end?
Ashwin sir, we are.
See, they have not issued that QPR utility, what Gujarat Rera has done.
Okay.
Like what we have TDS written in income tax quarterly. Such kind of returns are not prescribed right now. So they have issued that circular way back, but no such QPR is there.
Okay.
So even they are not able to find out on which date we have uploaded.
Right.
Again, they will have to go to the IT team and they have to date stamp and all this thing.
Okay.
Yes, they are not so stringent regarding that as of now, but only the compliance part should be done. And later on, there might be a circular and changes, as new website will also be launched soon. Then there will be definitely changes with this respect.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
सर तो एज ऑफ नाउ क्वार्टरली सर्टिफिकेट्स बना के अपलोड कर देना बेटर है कि नो नीड?
All the compliance should be done as of now properly. You have to follow that because it is not yet removed. It is in force and it is an order. So you have to follow and you have to do the compliances as of now. So later on, if there are any penalties with respect, we don't know if they have attached directly the date, because they might have the date data कि कौन से दिन पे ये upload हुआ है. So अगर उस हिसाब से अगर वो compliance नहीं हो रहा है और penalties चालू किए, then there might be an issue. So keep on updating whatever they add, different forms. Form 1 as on you can take and you can upload there itself.
Okay. And the next question is, in previous table, na, customer funds used for the project. तो
Yes.
अभी जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल 10 प्रोजेक्ट्स आर गोइंग ऑन अंडर फर्म, तो हम लोग कैसे सर्टिफाई कर सकते हैं कि ये फंड्स उसी में प्रोजेक्ट में यूज हुआ है या कैसे?
So that you need to verify from the bank account itself कि कहाँ से कहाँ जा रहा है funds. You have the expenses, you have the verification records and documents जो भी हम लोग का जो भी सॉफ्टवेयर है या फिर जहाँ पे भी मेंटेन किया है. So जो बैंक से funds जा रहा है, अगर दूसरे कंपनी में जा रहा है, then there is a straight away diversion of funds.
Okay.
And अगर उस प्रोजेक्ट में ही वेंडर्स को, because incurred is defined, actual cost incurred is defined that it is against any particular liability or goods or service received, or it doesn't include advance. So यहाँ पे वो या फिर actual में pay किया and you have availed the goods or service. So based on that you have to include it in actual amounts customers receipt used for the project.
Otherwise also for income tax, GST, you will have to do project accounting only.
Correct.
You can't have all consolidation.
Correct. In clarification to CS certificate वहाँ पे एक लिखा था there is no end use restriction. तो वो आज की तारीख में valid है नहीं है?
नहीं, anyways it was a clarification and it has no relevance as that one, because even we have observed that interest amount is later on, interest on compensation given to the allottees is been not allowed as an actual cost incurred to be included by the appellate tribunal. We have observed that in a judgment. So Rera had mentioned that you have to include it in the actual cost incurred. So this clarification, you have to stand on the basis of the guidance note and whatever is as per the rules and act. And only thing is clarification, you have to mention as a note whatever it is. But now, based on this regulation, it is not applicable now. You have to follow this regulation and this particular format.
Okay. Thank you.
Aditya ji mentioned here regarding that 100% or 70% deposit. Suppose a client is depositing 70% of customers' deposit and 30% obviously it is automatically getting bifurcated through the bank norms, but the customer is incurring expenditure which is related to project from 30%. So we need to mention both these accounts for opening balance and then deposit and utilization.
We have to mention only details of 70% bank. The Rera designated account, it is as per act, there is no bifurcation ki तीन account maintain karo, but banks have provided facility of master account, Rera 70% and 30% current account. ऐसे तीन automatically bifurcation किया. But we need to report of the 70% and अगर 70% से जहाँ भी utilize हो रहा है दूसरे बैंक अकाउंट में लेके वो utilize करे, then we need to include that.
But in many project finance, Aditya, the bank have the compulsion condition. First, the money should come to their control account.
Correct.
And escrow mechanism is mostly there wherever there is external funding.
So there also there are issues in maintenance of Rera account. Yeah,
but that escrow account can be itself termed as a Rera designated account, because there is no definition what is separate account. Only separate account is mentioned in the act. So अगर escrow mechanism उधर already follow हो रहा है, because जो भी हम लोग project finance ले रहे हैं, that cost is already been in the form of land cost and construction.
But that escrow account does not have a checkbook facility. It is at their whims and fancies, they transfer the fund to other bank account.
Yeah, that is true. So we need to keep track of that account wherever the amount is, and we have to mention it by way of disclosures. So अगर हम लोग वो account में से सिर्फ हम लोग amount transfer दूसरे इसमें कर रहे हैं, so we have to mention all those things in a proper disclosure. Then only we later on, if this certificate is been dig out, then we can mention, this was the position when we verified the certificate.
So now our form 3 would be double, that is disclosure, notes and all these things.
Earlier, if you have observed, sir, there was no separate column or
comment.
Yes, but now they have introduced. So they expect that you don't issue this certificate in a way. You have to mention all the comments or any kind of observation. छोड़ो मत, वो mention करो. बाद में you don't have an escape कि मैंने ये अगर cost include किया है तो किस basis पे include किया, that needs to be what inference has been done, that needs to be mentioned. अगर नहीं हो रहा है, it is not even possible कि मुझे ये नहीं मिल रहा है, then also you have to disclose कि it was not given. अगर नहीं दे रहा है तो कहाँ से certify करो? So whatever it is, you have to give a true picture. That's it. So that is what Rera is expecting from you.
Aditya ji, just to add one thing more, because in this funding arrangement, typically what happens that whatever bank account or the OD loan account or escrow account is open, typically all funding is directly payment is being made by bank only. And normally it is not through the 70% bank account.
Correct.
Yes. So, but
So in that scenario, what is happening? Whatever surplus fund, that 70% account, that amount is being deposited into that particular escrow account or loan account.
correct. But sir, payment is made by the directly, right? When
No, that is
invoices
from
are
other
issued.
than 70% account. Payment is made by the institution or NBFC.
Correct. So initially the fund was received and we have taken the invoices. Based on the invoices only directly the payment is made. So invoices if you have,
But not from 70% account.
okay, fine, that is fine, that we can report, sir. That won't be an issue because it is directly, the developer is not having any control on that. So if bank is involved in that, that means a proper mechanism or control is there. So double check automatically आ गया कि वो उस creditor को ही जा रहा है पैसा. और हम लोग क्या certify कर रहे हैं?
All this you have to make a comment.
Make a comment. Yes, exactly.
But Aditya, now the promoter has to sign this form, but there is no space for comment by the promoter.
That's
so builder association should represent this.
Definitely.
Actually, we are recommended on 4th of October. Form ये table F है ना, ये होना ही नहीं चाहिए. Actually.
हाँ सर, बराबर एकदम. I also agree.
लेकिन ठीक है, अभी तो आया है, देखेंगे. लेकिन ठीक है, we have to make provide a note page ना for developers.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, thank you. Noted.
So any exceptions in land cost? We have a table G. Any comments or observation on of CA? This table was not there in our certificate. Now they have given a separate certificate. So जो भी observation है, comments है, you need to mention, and then you have to obtain the signature of the promoter also. So it is always preferable, send a draft of the certificate to the promoter, discuss on the draft, and if it is acceptable, if it is still required, then you have to disclose the proper. Anyhow, you have to complete, you have to see that project gets completed. It is the responsibility of all the professionals. So if the draft needs to be discussed before issuing any certificates, and don't issue these certificates only on the basis of half facts. So that is very important.
Now CA will have chance to meet the promoter sometimes in a year.
Definitely.
Aditya ji.
Yes, sir.
CA Bharat Palgar.
हाँ sir.
Sir, these forms were given to us for commenting, right?
Yes.
And we submitted numerous, after discussions, many comments were given to MahaRERA.
Yes.
But it seems that not many of the.
Sorry, sir, we can't hear you.
Comment on this, because that exercise, what we did at the time, meeting, and then we are correcting the formats and everything, and give them back to MahaRERA some suggestions. Whether MahaRERA acted on our suggestions or they went ahead with that. Thank you.
This can be answered by Ashwin, sir. Sir.
See, generally, when we met Honorable Chairperson, he assured us that whenever some circulars are issued, first it will be shared with the SRO or like a association like ours, so that we can have our input. But then that practice did not continue. So here also, like today Manish Gadia ji was there, WRC should have also been taken into account, because that institute is an expert in accounting. So their say has to be taken before issuing any form on financial aspect. But that is not followed, and then we have many issues.
Thank you.
Yeah. So any exceptions in land cost and construction cost, you can comment here. Any discrepancy in bank account operations, whatever it is, you have to mention. Please see to it that you are correct. You are verifying whatever details are maintained. He has to identify the Rera bank account. वहाँ पे जो project में है mention किया, you need to verify that and you have to mention those bank details here. Then unsold inventory कुछ issues है, you need to mention. अगर pass through charges है, indirect taxes included in unit consideration, that needs to be mentioned. Deposit and utilization of customer receipts, any exceptions in that you need to mention. Other exceptions related to project you can very well mention in this brochure. Ashwin sir, before starting form 5.
Yeah. So now I'll request our Vice President, Satish Bhai, are you there? Satish Bhai? Satish Dedia, Vice President.
Yes, Ashwin Bhai.
Yeah. So I'll just request you to brief the audience about association activity, what we are proposing to do, and for the growth of membership. Just a few words on that. Then Aditya will continue.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Ashwin Bhai. Thank you all the participants and the guests. This is our first webinar, and as seen from the explanation given by CA Shri Aditya ji, you will appreciate that he has done a lot of research and detailed study of the circulars. On the prima facie discussion, we seen that the wider consultation has not been done. As a result, various queries are raised and various problems will be facing by the CAs and other professionals as well as the promoters. So here our role of as a RPWA comes that let us unite all the stakeholders and make proper representation to the authorities so that our view is heard and all the requisite changes are done in the policy decisions so that the actual and primary objectives of the RERA are achieved properly and efficiently. So our role is to unite all the stakeholders, and as explained by Ashwin Bhai, we have started making representation to MahaRERA and other authorities from time to time. So our first target is to make a representation to all the authorities and simultaneously start any activities so that we can share our knowledge to all the stakeholders as through webinars, and we have already started the newsletter. Our first edition has been already published, and we also wish to undertake various panel discussion through other eminent personalities and speakers so that knowledge of our members is enriched on the subject matter. That will be sufficient at this occasion. And we have noted all the suggestions and queries raised by our members, and we assure that all these queries will be represented to the concerned authorities, and we will take up with the authorities so that this process of changes which are done by the authority with a good initiative can be user friendly, practical, and website sync with the website. As seen from the discussion, there are various issues like the changes are done abruptly and not sync with the website and other rules. So that will definitely lead to litigation in the future, and the promoters' liability will be increased. So here, the main issue that arising is that now various forms will be available for public view. So definitely the allottees will use all this information in the future litigation, and during the arguments also it will be helpful to the advocates also. So all the professionals who are connected with this activity need to see the compliance level from that angle, that all the information which you will put up in the forms how it will be used by the other side against the promoter. So that is to be seen, and the test for the that will be whether the compliance is sufficient or not, and whether the compliance done by filing these forms will be whether it amounts to any contravention of any rule or regulation or not. That has to be seen. I think that will be sufficient discussion as of now. I hand over Aditya ji. Please continue. Thank you.
And further, Satish Bhai, I will appeal to all to help us to increase the membership base. Because if we want to file any writ petition or public interest litigation, then any apex court will see our membership base. So I will request each and everyone over here to help us in increasing the membership base. So Aditya, you can continue.
Yeah. 1 minute, Ashwin bhai. On that point, I would like to highlight that if we have a membership of at least 500 onward, and with Builders Association on other associations of the promoters and other connected stakeholders, then with every suggestion we can make counter request through our members to the authorities, so that whatever representation and suggestions are made to the authorities can be heard and can be implemented. So without participation of the members in the suggestion process, it is not possible that authorities will heard us or implement our suggestions. So as rightly told by Ashwin bhai, membership is the core issue, and we have just started. So all the members, whether uh, through any forum or any profession, should need to understand the importance of the representation, and that can be done only through the increasing participations and increasing membership. Thank you.
So till now, the engineers' responsibility was very less, but now it has increased. So we would suggest that even engineers and architects are also becoming members of our association, because these are all the professional, then including promoter, agent, even graduate, they can be the member of the association.
So can I continue, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Next is Form 5, annual report on statement of accounts. I have kept the Form 4 at last because it is on the basis of architect completion. So your annual report on statement of accounts, many debate was there that it is certificate, audit, it is still not be properly cleared by Rera, but here there is change in the format of Form 5, and earlier this certificate was for utilization and withdrawal, but now they have added a word deposit also in the subject clause. So this report on statement of accounts on project fund deposit, utilization and withdrawal. In Form 3, deposit, utilization and withdrawal. So both are commenting on the same thing and their roles have been increased. Form 3 का तो रोल increase हो गया, Form 5 को तो ये करना ही था. तो यहाँ पे डबल चेक हो रहा है और दोनों सर्टिफिकेट से हम लोग यही बोल रहे कि जो फंड्स लिया था वो प्रॉपर यूटिलाइज हुआ है एंड द प्रोजेक्ट विल गेट कंप्लीटेड एज पर स्पेसिफिकेशन. ये फॉर्म 1-2 बताए. Subject clause certifying deposit, utilization and withdrawal. 4 tables and 2 sub tables introduced. तो यहाँ पे पहले tables ऐसे नहीं थे, but now they have introduced 4 tables and 2 sub tables are there in this particular certificate. Now first thing is deposit. So deposit, in case of deposit, they have given a proper table that we will take in the next slide. But if there is any shortfall, in the amount deposit, as per Act 70% बोला है, लेकिन 70% नहीं किया, तो वो अमाउंट हम लोग को सेपरेटली एक लाइन आइटम मेंशन किया, वहां पे हम लोगों को मेंशन करना है. बट देयर इज समवेयर डुप्लीकेशन, बिकॉज एक टेबल दिया है, नेक्स्ट टेबल इज टेबल ए डिपॉजिट्स, उसमें भी शॉर्टफॉल का अमाउंट डायरेक्टली मिल रहा है. तो अगेन वी हैव टू राइट द सेम थिंग दैट in case of shortfall, if there is shortfall, the so and so amount is of the shortfall, because positive or negative can denote shortfall or excess deposit in that particular table. Still we have to again mention this shortfall deposit amount separately. Date-wise details of excess withdrawals. This is an additional and very important work entrusted on the Form 5 auditor. जब वो Part B में आएगा, Part A deposit के बारे में बोलता है, Part B withdrawals और Part C utilization. तो withdrawal में एक चीज जो ऐड किया है, उसमें उसको डेट ऑफ विड्रॉवल और अमाउंट ऑफ एक्सेस विड्रॉवल्स देना है. Now ये इशू 3,371 लैब्स प्रोजेक्ट्स में बहुत ज्यादा है, because many projects have not taken Form 3. And what does certificate say? That all the amounts withdrawn during the year from Rera bank account were within the withdrawal limit as certified under relevant Form 1, 2, 3 issued during the reporting period. Form 1 and 2 never gives you any limit, but Form 3 gives you a limit. That means if these projects are not having any kind of limit, सर्टिफिकेट ही नहीं है, तो सारे अगर आज के तारीख में वो आया तुम लोग के पास फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ एक्सटेंशन, देन Form 3 वो अभी लेगा. तो इसके पहले जो भी डेट ऑफ रजिस्ट्रेशन के टाइम पे उसने Form 3 लिया होगा, उसके बाद डायरेक्टली अभी लेगा. सो ऑल दोज विड्रॉवल्स आर एक्सेस विड्रॉवल्स एंड दैट नीड्स टू बी मेंशन्ड with date wise reference. So that is an additional duty on the Form 5 audit, which is very time consuming, and it will require a lot of efforts for mentioning this thing. Next is again date wise details of non utilization. अभी एक date wise withdrawals कम था जो अभी non utilization भी डाल दी. So यहाँ पे हम लोग को mention करना है कि the promoter has utilized the amounts withdrawn from designated bank account towards project cost only. Now what is project cost? That is land cost and construction cost. However, the definition of estimated cost considers total cost, but as Rera has assumed that brokerage and this cost is not does not form part of the project cost, hence land cost or construction cost के लिए ही use किया है, उसका utilization देना है. मतलब हम लोग को बैंक अकाउंट में से वो भी देखना है कि ये अमाउंट किसी दूसरे को या फिर कोई दूसरे कंपनी में ट्रांसफर किया है. It is a diversion of fund that needs to be mentioned that it is not amount utilized for the project. So जो भी लैंड कॉस्ट के एलिमेंट्स है और कंस्ट्रक्शन कॉस्ट के वही हम लोग यूटिलाइज करेंगे, अदरवाइज यू नीड टू मेंशन. सो डबल ड्यूटी हो गया, या विड्रॉवल्स भी डेट वाइज एंड यूटिलाइजेशन भी डेट वाइज. इन द ड्राफ्ट
एक क्वेरी है कि अगर अभी अनसिक्योर्ड लोन लिया है वो वापस किया रहेगा तो वेदर दैट कैन बी कंसिडर एज अ यूटिलाइजेशन कि क्या?
अगर अनसिक्योर्ड लोन है तो जब भी मैं लूंगा अनसिक्योर्ड लोन, इट विल बी स्पेंट ऑन द कंस्ट्रक्शन और लैंड कॉस्ट, तो ऑटोमेटिकली मेरा कॉस्ट आ गया.
कॉस्ट आ गया नहीं, लेकिन अभी जब
पेमेंट इज रिटर्न, सो देयर वोंट बी एनी इशू फॉर दैट बिकॉज़ आई हैड टेकन द मनी, आई हैव यूज्ड दैट मनी फॉर द प्रोजेक्ट.
तो फिर वो तभी जब भी विड्रॉ किया होगा रेरा अकाउंट से, जब भी, तो फिर वो क्या काउंट करने का, यूटिलाइजेशन में काउंट करने का कि कैसे करने का? वो
यूटिलाइजेशन इज ऑब्वियसली यू हैव ऑलरेडी कंसीडर्ड. अगर उसके वो पैसा मैंने लिया और मैंने कंस्ट्रक्शन कॉस्ट पे स्पेंड किया, दैट विल ऑटोमेटिकली बी अकाउंटेड इन योर this thing, and anyhow principal amount repayment is not considered in cost, only interest cost is to be considered.
Okay,
yeah, so that will be you utilization का उसका देना ही नहीं. अगर excess bit होगी that will be considered as utilization पैसे यूज किया है प्रोजेक्ट के लिए.
सर इंटरेस्ट में भी मनी लेंडिंग लाइसेंस होगा तो ही वो इंक्लूड होगा ना कॉस्ट में.
अभी कैसा है वो डेफिनेशन जो अगर रूल में देखा है, इट इज इंक्लूसिव. It is not means, and inclusive extra etc डाल दिया है. और अगर आप Form 3 देखोगे तो money borrowed for construction डाल दिया है. What does money borrowed for construction mean? Apart from NBFC, money lender, वो सारा चीज दिया है, लेकिन there is no restriction that he can't avail the finance from unsecured loans. Yes, obviously under negotiable instrument act they won't have protection in the case of check bounce and everything, but he can use.
Many builders are having unsecured finance, sir. Almost all.
Definitely. So he can't. उसको issue हो गए, छोटे डेवलपर को तो लोन भी नहीं मिलता. So they have to be dependent on unsecured loan, and if it is proper and we have verified documentation, there is interest charge and everything, he is using the funds, then you can include. But yes, अगर उसके दो प्रोजेक्ट है, दो कंपनी अलग अलग, और एक प्रोजेक्ट से पैसा जाके उधर दे रहा है, उधर unsecured loan, then there is a point of dispute. That means he is using it, he is diversifying the funds, and that needs to be mentioned here properly. That is not called as unsecured. So agar external friends and relatives, agar external hai, that can be called as, but whatever it is, you can mention that we have considered it as unsecured loan, because there is no, the definition is not means, it is inclusive definition.
So on case to case basis in CS certificate, we can allow interest calls also in incurred project cost.
Yes, interest cost is allowed, but on compensation, if you are talking about compensation, then it is not allowed. As per Rera tribunal also, it is rejecting that a promoter should pay that amount from his own funds and not from the funds of the allottees. That has been cleared. But clarification, Rera sir ne bola hai ki you can use it, you can mention it in actual cost.
I think that judgment is from the MahaRERA, not from tribunal. कपड़नी सर का जजमेंट था वो.
हाँ, कपड़नी सर का, सॉरी, ट्राइब्यूनल ने,
ट्राइब्यूनल ने अभी तक उसके डेल्ट नहीं किया,
अभी तक कुछ भी नहीं. It is from Kapani sir. In that, it is not the entire judgment. Only a line has been included that yes, it has to be. The developer cannot use the funds from his own sources. So at the higher, and it is valid also कि अगर उसने किया है delay तो other allottees के funds से वो नहीं दे सकता. So he has to bring that money from his own sources. So somewhere it is valid, and there is no clarification in this regard. But circular alag bolta hai, and later on the judgment. So it is a point of dispute. If you are taking interest, that interest amount, then you can mention that in your disclosures. That's it.
Okay.
There won't be any issue if you will mention it in your disclosure.
Okay. Thank you.
तो सर मेरा वही क्वेश्चन था, मैं अगर आई एम रिपीटिंग, मुझे थोड़ा कंफ्यूजन है कि डेट वाइज डिटेल्स ऑफ एक्सेस विड्रॉल, जैसे अभी मेरे केस में अनसिक्योर्ड जो लोन जो लिया था वो रिटर्न कर दिया था बैंक पेमेंट के थ्रू, तो वो मेरा फिर डेट वाइज डिटेल्स ऑफ एक्सेस विड्रॉल्स में फॉल होगा क्या?
नहीं होगा, बिकॉज यू हैव ऑलरेडी, मैंने 100 रुपया लिया, मैंने कंस्ट्रक्शन कॉस्ट में स्पेंड किया,
स्पेंड कर दिया,
मेरा एक्सेस विड्रॉल मेरा सर्टिफिकेट में ही है, वो विड्रॉल के लिमिट में है, तो एक्सेस विड्रॉल, दिस इज एक्सेस विड्रॉल, मतलब मैंने उसको सर्टिफिकेट में जो लिमिट दे रहा हूँ, इट इज 70 रुपीज.
उसके अगर, अच्छा वो आप बोल रहे, ओके ओके ओके, अच्छा ओके ठीक है, आई विल गेट बैक टू यू पर्सनली, मुझे थोड़ा बाद में दिक्कत है फॉर्म 5 में, आई विल गेट बैक टू यू देन. हाँ ओके, थैंक्स.
Ashwin sir, you want to say anything?
No. So again, see, the only parameter has to be seen is like what is cost incurred and what is the 70% of the amount realized from the allottee. If the cost incurred is higher than the 70% of the amount realized from the allottee, then all these thing diversion will not come into picture. There could be a case of the transfer of fund from one company to another, but again, that would not amount to diversion of fund because it's my own capital withdrawal from this already cost incurred.
Correct.
So I have to see what is my cost incurred. Suppose it is 200 crore and my amount realized is say 200 crore. Then now 70% is 140. So still I have 60 crore buffer. Right?
Yes.
So this point should be checked on a cumulative basis or a year-on-year basis?
Cumulative.
Cumulative.
Everything is on cumulative. Form 3, Form 5, everything is on cumulative.
Okay.
So deposits tables, we are having a deposit table, which I was talking about. Here you have to mention total amount collected from, and this is for that particular year. So if I am issuing the certificate for financial year 21-22, so for that particular fiscal year, and total for this project, that is cumulative. So your total amount collected from the allottees, suppose I am collecting 50 rupees, percentage of amount deposited as per the act. Now here the wording is as per the act. So यहाँ पे 70%, but for ongoing it is 100%. So whichever is applicable, you can mention here. I have selected 70%. Amount deposit. What was to be deposited? It is 35. But total amount deposited actual in the Rera designated bank account is 60. Is 30% amount. So that is the 60% amount is deposited. So there is a shortfall of 10%. 5 is the shortfall. So here they already have a field to mention the shortfall amount, but still again they are asking and below कि अगर shortfall है तो amount कितना है? That needs to be mentioned.
But this year-wise shortfall will not be a correct figure because already in the earlier year I have infused my capital.
Yes.
So again, this year-wise there could be a shortfall in this year. But if I
but
take it
cumulative, there
cumulative,
may not be.
there may not be shortfall because see, I have infused the capital or loan in the earlier year.
Yes, but they are asking only for the customer deposit. So,
So
they are
again,
not talking about
even
my
though there are shortfall, but this should not amount to negative impact on the promoter.
Yes. Just 2 minutes.
Maybe in the initial years, we have deposited more amount. So because of that, in the current year, we decided to transfer less than 70%. But हो सकता है कि total for the project till date में still we may be 70 or more than 70. So that impact probably we are
So
talking.
again, we'll have to put a notes over here.
Right. Another question, sir. Any particular reason that we see that they have also asked whether any excess deposit is made? Like in case of there is a shortfall, we understand that they want to understand whether we are siphoning off funds or whatever. But excess deposit अगर किया तो फिर RERA को कुछ issue होना चाहिए या उसका क्या interpretation हो सकता है?
No, excess only we just have to see. Excess deposits कब क्या hit करेगा? कि he has to compulsory register the agreement beyond 10%. So अगर उस केस में अगर excess deposit आ रहा है उसका तो वो भी है हो सकता है कि amount कितना excess deposits आ रहा है तो इसको advance नहीं है ना ये. So that might be an issue and he might trigger a penalty for section 30.
Right. Sure. Okay.
So yes, this is a target for that also. It might be a that excess deposits है तो advance आ गया क्या उसमें?
ठीक है.
Okay, Aditya, we can now move fast.
Okay. Table B withdrawals. After tables A, we have a separate table for withdrawals. Here we have to mention opening balance of designated bank account for that particular year also and for cumulative also. So total opening balance for the cumulative will remain same and opening balance for that particular year की beginning में क्या है. तो ओपनिंग बैलेंस जब भी रेरा डेजिग्नेटेड ओपन हुआ उसका क्यूमुलेटिव आएगा उधर से लेके अब तक का क्या पोजीशन है फिस्कल के लिए सिर्फ वो पर्टिकुलर ईयर का ओपनिंग और टोटल डिपॉजिट्स एंड अमाउंट विथड्रॉन और वो क्लोजिंग बैलेंस. ये टेबल वहां पे भी है अपने फॉर्म 3 में भी और यहाँ पे भी वी नीड टू मेंशन दिस. Table D, again, any comments or observations of CA, exception relating to deposit, utilization and withdrawals. Any discrepancy now, Form 5 is having the authority to comment upon any of the certificates issued earlier. So he can mention very well here any discrepancy, separate table ही दे दिया.
How can a CA give discrepancy in Form 1?
No, he cannot issue that, but obviously अगर पहले था कि सब्जेक्ट क्लॉज में लैटिट्यूड लॉन्जिट्यूड या फिर ऐसे कोई माइनर डिस्क्रिपेंसीज है बट ही कैन नॉट कमेंट ऑन द फिजिकल वेरिफिकेशन व्हिच एंड द टेक्निकल एक्सपर्टीज ही इज नॉट हैविंग सो वी कैन नॉट कमेंट ऑन दैट. एनी अदर एक्सेप्शंस यू कैन मेंशन हियर रिलेटिंग टू फॉर्म 5. Form 4 last certificate, architect certificate, which is to be issued on the completion of the project. Again here सब्जेक्ट क्लॉज, तो सब्जेक्ट क्लॉज सब लोग से निकाल दिया वो. अभी उन लोग को सिर्फ प्रोजेक्ट, ये प्रोजेक्ट है, ये रेरा नंबर है, हम लोग इस प्रोजेक्ट के लिए ये सर्टिफिकेट दे रहे हैं. दैट्स इट. एरिया वाइज डिटेल्स एवरीथिंग इज डिलीटेड. तो न्यू जो प्रोजेक्ट में एफएसआई डिटेल्स और एरिया है जिस पे बेस हम लोग बेस मिलता था वो हम लोग को उससे रिटर्न रिप्रेजेंटेशन लेके या फिर आर्किटेक्ट से सर्टिफाई करके एडिशनल लेना पड़ेगा कि व्हाट इज द एरिया टू बी मेंशन्ड. Certificate can be issued for the entire project. Yes, project जो project architect है on completion also he can issue entire completion certificate कि ये पूरा complete हो गया project, not building wise.
It is so can be or it should be must be.
No, it can be
because there are 4 building. Then he can issue for 2 building also.
See here they have given very well that certifying the completion construction work of project name having MahaRERA number.
So and on that particular project there are 4 buildings.
Yeah, so we have to give OC detail. They have given a table and there you have to mention layout, building or wing number. If OC is received for the entire layout, then they have to mention their details. Otherwise building है तो table में हम लोग
No, but part form number 4 cannot be given. Na? Suppose OC is received only for 2 buildings. Then this cannot be issued.
No, it cannot be issued. It is for the entire project. List of the technical professionals. Here also it is deleted on the basis of inspection. Yes, this is an additional word inserted. He don't only have to depend on the certificate of structural engineer. पहले उसके certificate में word था कि based on the certificate received from based on the certificate issued from structural engineer. But abhi inspection word, because there was one case of architect that he had issued the certificate, and even though he was OC was received, but it was not fit for occupancy. And all the amenities were provided, and Rera had him accountable that he is also liable for disciplinary action. So now it is not only his structural engineer ke basis inspection. With my inspection, I am saying that it is complete with all respect, and it is complete, most important, as per agreement for sale. See, this agreement for sale form 2 में आ गया, form 1 में आ गया, form 4 में आ गया. अभी उसको bind की सिर्फ complete नहीं, agreement में जो बोला है वो भी दिया. So this is an important responsibility and wording where we might be face an issue in future if not properly set.
So like swimming pool amenities.
Yes,
if
correct.
That is incomplete.
Because now clubhouse, swimming pool, everything, amenities जो भी है वो fit for occupancy, everything is complete as per agreement for sale. Then only he can issue this certificate. Again, here counter signature of promoter has been mentioned. So that's all. We have covered all the forms from 1 to form 5.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Aditya, for your detailed and researched discussion. I think Nilesh Gala is there, our secretary.
ना वो निकल गए.
अच्छा. Okay. So Satish bhai, I will request you to propose the vote of thanks to our speaker.
Yes, sir.
Before that, I think Aditya, we now need to send a message to architect and engineer also. You join our association, because now many responsibilities are there on you also, pinpointing various highlighted points. So that also you prepare one thing so that we can give it to the builder association. They can also pass on to their architect and engineers.
Correct.
So that would also help us to increase our membership there.
Yes, sir.
Yes, of course.
Satish bhai, you can proceed.
I think रणबीर जी कुछ बोलना चाहते हैं.
स्वप्निल कौलगुड है, स्वप्निल जी.
Yeah, Mr.
स्वप्निल जी. स्वप्निल कौलगुड जी, स्वप्निल कौलगुड जी.
वो ज्वाइन तो हुए थे, लास्ट में ज्वाइन किए थे.
Both are there, but they are not.
Can't hear.
Everyone can switch on their cameras if they can, so that we can take a photo also.
Yes, we take that. Yeah. Please switch on your camera. So Atul bhai, I think tell Dharmesh bhai to have some joint presentation with MCHI. I think Dilip bhai is there, Satish bhai. So we will request Dilip bhai to propose the vote of thanks.
Ashwin bhai, 1 minute.
Yeah. Before.
I would like to give some.
1 minute, Dilip bhai. 1 minute. 1 minute.
Dilip bhai train में.
अच्छा. So Satish bhai, you can give vote of thanks.
Nilesh Gala is also there now.
The conclusion is, sir, that CA Aditya has done a wonderful job, and beyond my expectation, he has done a lot of study. Yes, sir. Yes, please.
With your permission, Swapnil want to speak something.
Yeah. Sure.
Swapnil ji, unmute yourself, please. Swapnil ji, he's our MahaRERA chairman, MahaRERA committee chairman.
Okay.
He's raising hand, but he can't.
Okay.
He's unable to
Can't
speak.
unmute
Maybe
him.
the host can unmute him if he is unable to.
देखो सतीश भाई, स्वप्निल सालेकर or
Swapnil Kaulgur.
He's saying that he can't talk. He has
Okay,
messaged in the chat.
Okay. No issues. Proceed,
So
please.
Satish bhai, you can give your concluding remark, and if Nilesh bhai is there, he can propose the vote of faith.
Sir, my request is to all of the professionals to spread the word that these changes are very necessary and essential for the real estate sector, because at present the real estate sector is facing the allottees have almost lost faith and trust in the real estate sector, particularly in the under construction projects. So at present, our challenge is how to restore the faith and trust of the allottees back in the real estate sector and Rera. And then only the real estate sector can grow and flourish. So these steps are in that direction only. This thing has to be spread to all concerned. The intentions are good, the decisions are historical, and towards achieving the objectives of transparency and efficiency. At the same time, if we have seen from the discussion that the changes are done on basis of few consultation and wider consultation has not been taken by the authority, and this is the main reason for because of the various queries are raised, and we found that there are various difficulties. Even the forms are not user friendly and not as per the rules at all. So we need, all of us all need to make a proper representation to authority to make appropriate changes. Number two, the promoter has to now be very alert, because some of these forms will be for public view, and some of forms they have to countersign. So the responsibility of the promoter professionals is reduced, and the responsibility of promoter is increased. So there is every chance that in the future litigations, all these documents will be used against the promoter, and it will be very difficult for the promoter now to make manipulations or do the practices that were prevailing till date. Number two, sir, is that the compliance level will be increased. At the same time, it will lead to increase in cost and work for the professionals, because as per the discussion, we've seen that all the whatever done till date till in last 4 years have to be compiled again in these certificates. So this will be an unnecessary burden from the professionals also. So all these things have not been considered by the authority while preparing these forms, and therefore we all need to make presentation that the CA body as well as other stakeholders need to be taken into confidence before making such changes, and this can be achieved only by making proper representation and continuous representation and follow-up representation, and follow-up should be made by all individual members, so that the voice of the association or concerned body can be heard by the authority, and without that the promoters have to suffer, and ultimately the allottee will suffer, and ultimately the real estate sector will also suffer. So we all need to work together, and I think it is now turn for Advocate Nilesh Gala.
1 minute.
To say
I thank
1 minute, Nilesh bhai, only 1 minute. Before that, we would like to announce one program which we are thinking.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Okay, Nilesh bhai, you can do that.
Before we end today with a vote of thanks to the President, the Speaker, my learned colleague Satish Dedia, I would like to announce our second and third program which is in pipeline. and which is proposed very soon. The second webinar will be in the third week of January, conducted by me and Mr. Dedia on the new Supreme Court judgment. And the new tech, that's the judgment of Supreme Court laying down the various guidelines and law on various aspects which were builders had taken on technical issues on legal front. And the third program which is proposed, and the lead will be taken by our beloved President, Mr. Ashwin Shah, and Mr. Dilip Agarwal, who is our committee member. And we will be circulating that message, and the entire brief summary of our new webinars. We will also be sharing, there is a request in the chat box that Aditya ji, will you be able to share the PPT?
Yes. After this webinar, I will see to it that it will be
to the
made.
members who are participants here and members of our association. And we would like to request everyone who wants to be a part of our association in active and passive role can get in touch with all the office bearers, our beloved Mr. Ashwin Shah, Aditya ji, Satish ji, and myself. We are always available, and if anyone wants to contribute anything to through the association is welcome, and all suggestions are welcome. We are free to discuss and take it up with the authorities, as well as any other suggestions, or you all want to be in active role with the association, please do come and approach us. And now I end with a vote of thanks to on behalf of the association. This brainchild is of our CA Shri Ashwin Shah, who started and initiated this process, that there was a need for such an association who could always interact on behalf of various bodies like allottees, builders, practicing members like CS, CA, advocates, and with authority, tribunal, or also on higher level by taking up legal input. Now I end here with a vote of thanks to Aditya ji. He has done a phenomenal and a wonderful job to really in detail to educate our members on the issue of these forms. And I thank Mr. Dedia also to be very active and has been voicing up for allottees with the authority on various occasions. And myself, I end this webinar with a vote of thanks to all the members who have participated today. We will be sharing the PPT very soon. Aditya will be sharing. In case none of any of you all don't receive, please get in touch with us. Ashwin bhai, anything to add?
No. Thank you, Nilesh bhai, for a detailed brief. We just only last request is help us in increasing our membership base. As I said, now architect, engineer will have to be more active, looking at what Aditya has discussed. So we will certainly approach the architect association and engineer association also and increase our membership base. Thank you.
And
thank
be
you.
safe, be vaccinated, keep distance, wear mask, and please take care of your family. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manish bhai.
Thank you, sir. Very informative webinar.
And the other office.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.